Hello again, this is Mrs. Ross and this is Lesson 11. We're going to talk about problems that involve combining and then problems that involve separating. So combining means we're adding two things together and separating means we're pulling them apart. This is the practice set for Lesson 11 and you can find these problems on page 78 of your Saxon Course 2 textbook. Let's get started. Okay. So first things first, there's a whole lot of word problems here. Word problems tend to be the ones that students hate the most. Basically what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and decode the English word problem into a math problem. It really is a matter of translation from one language to another. At the very top it talks about this 4-step method. I'm not a fan. Okay, so let me kind of show you how I go through this. I decode or translate as I read it. So let's go ahead and see what we've got. We've got Rover, who's a St. Bernard, and Spot, who's an English sheepdog, together weigh 213 pounds. So I'm going to stop and circle that number because it's probably important. And then I'm going to call Rover R and Spot S. So what I know is that Rover plus Spot is equal to 213 pounds. Okay, so then I'm going to keep reading. So I kind of chunk it out so I don't get overwhelmed by all of the information. Rover weighs, so Rover, I've already called him R, he weighs 118 pounds. So I'm going to circle that number and I'm going to make him equal to 118. The question is, how much does Spot weigh? So let me plug this 118 into the R. 118 plus Spot is equal to 213. Now this is something we can do. We've been doing this, all right? This is an addition problem and we need to do the opposite. Remember what we do to one side of the equals we do to the other. So I'm going to subtract 118 from this side, subtract 118 from this side. My 118 goes away, my S comes down, my equals comes down. Let's see, 213 minus 118 is 95. These are some larger dogs. 95 pounds, that's how much Spot weighs. Okay, let me change colors and see if we can use the same tactic on B. So Dawn cranked for a number of turns. I don't know what she's cranking, but she cranked for so many turns. And then Tim gave the crank 216 turns. So I'm going to say Tim is equal to 216 turns. If the total number of turns is 400, so we know the total is 400. How many turns did Dawn crank? So we don't know how many turns she cranks, but we do know that Dawn plus Tim is equal to 400. We also know that Tim cranked whatever. I'm really interested in what it was they were doing. Like cranking a car, cranking a, what are they, a water pump? I don't know. So we have D plus 216 is equal to 400. And we have another addition problem. We know we do the opposite to solve for it. So I'm going to subtract 216 from this side and 216 from this side. My D is going to come down. This goes away. My equals comes down. And I have 400 minus 216 is equal to 184. Hopefully you're seeing this is not as bad as you thought it was going to be at the outset. Okay? We do have to read the problem thoroughly, okay? So there were 254 horses, again I always circle the numbers, in the North Corral yesterday. The rancher moved some of the horses to the South Corral. Only 126 horses remained in the corral. How many horses went to the South Corral? So this is our total, and this is what remained in the North Corral. And what I know is that the North Corral plus the South Corral equals 254. I also know that there were 126 horses remaining in the North Corral, so that's where I'm going to plug this in. So 126 plus whatever is in the South Corral today is 254. Again, I have another addition problem. So I'm going to subtract from both sides. Got to do the opposite of addition. This goes away. My S comes down. My equals comes down. 254 minus 126 is 128. Where's my thing? 128. And that's how many are left in the South Corral. All right, let's do the last one on this page and see where we go. Cynthia had a lot of paper. Good to know. After using 36 sheets for a report, good grief, that's a long report, only 164 sheets remained. How many sheets did she have at first? So she had some number of sheets at first. Oops. She used 36 for this report, and she ended up with 164, my bad. We don't know what this number is. We don't know what she started with. And this is a subtraction problem. So if you'll see the way that I've written it, the variable or the unknown is first. So I'm going to have to add to find out what she had at the beginning. Okay. And for some reason I've chosen a question mark as my variable. That's fine. So negative 36 plus 36 is nothing. This is going to come down, and then I have 164 plus 36. So she started off with 200 sheets of paper, y'all. Okay. All right. E, write a word problem about combining that fits this equation. So it says 15 plus T is equal to 16, 13. That looks like tax. So let's say Mrs. OKK bought a shirt for $15. After adding tax, she paid $16.13. What was the tax? Okay. And it doesn't tell us to solve it, so we're just going to keep on. It says F says write a word problem about separating that fits this equation. 32 minus S equals 25. So let's say there were 32 students in Mrs. Frank's class. After music, there were only 25 students. How many kids left for music? All right, you can kind of see how that works. All right, let's do 1 and 2, the starred problems, because they happen to be on this page, and it looks like they are about what we're talking about, so that works out pretty well. Number 1, as the day of the festival drew near, festival, there were 200,000 people, let me circle that number because that's probably important at some point, in the city. If the usual population of the city was 85,000, how many visitors had come to the city? So we know we have our visitors plus 85,000 is equal to 200,000 because we're trying to find out how many visitors came for the festival. Okay, so this is an addition problem, so we're going to subtract. And I'm going to run out of room here, but V comes down, this goes away, my equals comes down. And then I end up with 200,000 minus 85, which I think is, 115. So that's a lot of visitors. That's more than the population of Wichita Falls. All right, I'm going to erase this, and then we'll do 2, and then we'll be done with our practice set. Okay, last question. Sid returned from the store with $12.47. He had spent $98.03 on groceries. How much money did he have when he went to the store? Okay, so if he spent $98.03 and he came back with $12.47, then this is the total he went with. Okay, so let's see, 1247 plus 9803. I got $110.50, which makes sense. So, okay, let's kind of talk through this a little bit. So if he went to the store with $110.50, he spent $98.03, that means he's left with $12.47. That all checks out. So that's the answer to that question. All right, if you have any questions about any of these, please let me know. Have a great day.